So episode 29. I kind of really like this episode. We got more information about Murasame. I hope I always say his name right. But this time it's not just I'm going to attack all the time. It's literally he wants to learn more information about stuff. And when he meets Taru on this, or Tari, he asks certain questions. But when this episode actually opens up for the first time, it's mainly seeing the body of Sonny as Murasame picked him up in the last episode to kind of take in for kind of a funeral and seeing what happens down there. Now this I generally do kind of like because it shows respect, and I don't think this has been done that much in Sentai. If you know, let me know down below in the comments. So seeing that everybody's like, oh my god, he got defeated, and thus therefore sending out funeral invites to everyone, or mainly to one person, which is Taru. I didn't really mind that. I thought that it was kind of a nice gesture, but I probably wouldn't put the invitation in a sandwich. It doesn't really work that well, and I'm very kind of weirded out why they didn't clean it up and just kind of wipe off all the sauce and dirt and stuff like that, because it would make more sense doing that rather than what we got. So yeah, we get a busted funeral invitation, but literally. So all of Taru's scenes in this at the very beginning are mainly like for purification ritual. So cleansing in the bath, eating food, being relaxed and stuff like that. And there are some kind of funny moments where, like, I think the funniest one with Taru is that when he says like, oh, like, could you push harder on a massage? And he's like, oh, okay. And then it says like, can you do it harder? And then it's actually, no, can you do it like this? Which then instantly he flips him over and starts doing it. But it's just the laugh that he gives off. It just feels very weird. But to be fair, I think it's one of my favorite laughs in all of Sentai so far. Now, the monster of the day really confuses me on so much stuff, only because the way the guy is saying like, oh, you've got to move faster, work harder, move faster, get out my way, you're all too slow. It would probably have been better to have, like, say, a Goonja rather than Abaranger, because Abaranger to me is dinosaurs, which is kind of slow. But seeing the monster actually call forth the Abaranger powers really kind of made me go, huh? But we've all met this sort of person in life where the person is like, oh, someone's like, oh, you need to do it quickly. Type on the keyboard faster. You've got to work faster. Get everything done. If it's not done in 10 seconds, rah, rah, rah. I've had this, and it still haunts me to the day with someone that I used to work with as my manager would say that you have to log in quickly, so you didn't have to really properly type. You had to mash the keyboard really quickly, and it always infuriated me, and it still haunts me to this day. So as I mentioned, with Murasame, he is learning about different things, what it is like to feel. He wants to learn how to live, and obviously he's met up with Tari, who is basically fighting him, but then stops because he's changed into his feral form. But he stops attacking because obviously he senses that Murasame doesn't really want to fight and technically wants to die, so he doesn't want to fight him. But a huge, massive kind of like backstory to Tari, and I kind of really like this only because it felt like a Super Saiyan ritual. So what do I mean by this? In the episode, Tari says that he was always like this, full of anger and stuff, until like these kids started playing and like linked hands and then did a whole dance around him, which then made him calm, which kind of felt like it was a sealing ritual or something like that, or maybe like good positive vibes were going in, something very similar to that. But it did remind me of a Super Saiyan ritual when Goku becomes Super Saiyan God. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see how Tari went from this grrr to being a good kid, but it could also mean, like, it does remind me of Goku from Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball, should I say, where he hit his head and became a good guy. Now, I don't know if that is in the Japanese mythology, so if it is, it's a really nice link to it, and I'm all here for it. Donbrothers has been pushing the boundaries on a lot of Super Sentai recently, and I'm all here for it. Now, what we see is, after a while, Murasame needs to rest and reverts back to his sword form, and thus flies off into whatever direction. Now he goes towards this abandoned building or warehouse, and this is when Azuma is being chased by a bestial, which is the cop. So it's very interesting to see how that would work when everything gets revealed. With this, he grabs the sword, which is Azuma, and he turns kind of evil and he just attacks, and that's all he does, is he wants to fight. He hurts the bestial cop, which then causes a cut down his cheek. And thus, therefore, when the cop just runs off, we see Natsume, or Miho, she is turned up because now we know that she is also a bestial. And this is important to talk about. I think it's in the next episode, but it will pop up in my notes. Anyway, let's continue. So, with this, he attacks her. And I was very kind of shocked because I generally thought that what we were going to see was the generic, oh my god, I can't fight her because I know her and I want to save her. So I kind of thought that would break him out of this spell or whatever it was, but it didn't. So we get the other main bad guys popping in, or I'm going to say really kind of anti-heroes because they're not really bad guys in this. So Sonae has actually grabbed the sword from him and it turns her into an attacker. She goes through the same sort of process and she starts attacking like pretty much her friend. I can't remember his name. It's probably like Sonke or whatever. But because of this, she's going in for the attack and that's all she wants to do. And I have noticed that if no one is a sword user properly, they start swinging out the way rather than having it like near their chest or actually fighting with it properly. So I did kind of like this. Out of nowhere, Sonae, actually the spirit version of his morphed powers, manifests and starts attacking Taru, which again is completely like, that's kind of weird. But it's all a ploy to actually get the power. Now, I will say one of the best scenes in this is when Taru figures out what's going on. He does like one final attack and then stabs him right through the chest. But that actually causes Sonae, or the spirit version of him, to drain all of Taru's power to make him into the white Donbrother, but then demorphs and he gets sent straight back to the kind of normal world. Again, it's a very interesting thing, at least. It was something kind of fun to watch. But I think the next scene, this is what I would have done, is I would have left Taru maybe until the next episode to get his powers back. But he picks up the Matsumain sword and literally gets his entire power back, uses an ultimate attack, and literally as the sword's like, fight, he's like, nah, I'm done, and just throws it to the ground. It's kind of a easier, like, nice touch. There's a lot of information that goes through in this one episode. But I think what's kind of interesting is when the third of the celestial guys seals the sword with manga, and I generally kind of like that. It was a very nice kind of thing. I thought it wouldn't work and it would kind of like shred away the paper, but it didn't. And that leads us into the episode 30. But just before, we see the power that they've gained from Don Momotaru, they literally put on Sonny and he wakes up and red eyes. It's effectively that. But as you've seen from the screenshots, or the screenshots, that's literally it. That's it for that episode.
チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとうございます。チャンネル登録、高評価お願いします。以下のリンクから商品を入手することができます。